Wow, is it just me, or did anyone else think things are getting a little fucked up on YouTube when people are so thirsty for attention they have to start attacking the fucking PG channels? Trying to out the Teletubbies because they're a bunch of grown-ass men dressing up like funky aliens manhandling children. The point is, we can put a negative spin on anything given the chance. And if you take things out of context, then the sky's the limit. Now, I'm not friends with Oxhorn personally, nor do I watch his channel. I'm not really big on the whole lore thing myself. And no, Todd Howard didn't show up at my house with a briefcase filled with money, okay? I want to help Oxhorn because it's the right thing to do, bottom line. Sitting back and watching thirsty trolls shit on him for hearsay and conjecture and defame him with little to no opposition is just crazy to me. So I'm going to go over everything that was talked about in these blogs and videos and stuff like that was brought up by these people who hate on Oxhorn, and see if I can't get to the bottom of this rhetoric with an unbiased perspective. Now, first things first, let's look at Oxhorn and what he's built on YouTube before we start learning about all the reasons to shit all over it. Oxhorn has been on this platform for forever. He has grinded his way to the position he's in now through countless years of painstaking hard work. 16 hours a day, 6 to 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I respect him as a YouTuber, not because he has more subscribers than me or that he gets more views than I do. I respect him on the sheer fact that he's one of the hardest working YouTubers there is, bottom line. Now, he has done everything for his channel, sacrificed countless hours to build what he has, and these thirsty little bitches want to destroy his livelihood that took him years to build because why? Because they don't like his content or they think that they're gonna get some attention by defaming him. Like a fucking Fisher-Price content cop or something, I don't know. Now, Oxhorn created a channel that's family friendly. It doesn't swear or any of that shit, doesn't make jokes. It just looks at the lore of Fallout in an unbiased perspective and attempts to focus on positivity. Sets a positive atmosphere that's welcoming to everyone. There's nothing inclusive or segregating about his content. So why the hate, right? Well, we'll get to that. Don't you worry your hairy little nipples. We will get to that. Let's talk about the big one first. Years ago, Oxhorn made a video in his car with some friends insulting a woman for what she was wearing. No excuses here, folks. What he did was unacceptable and it was petty. So he made a mistake. An awful one surely, but a mistake nonetheless. Are we all so perfect we've never made any mistakes in our life? No, probably not. I've done some shady shit just last week that I'm sure would be pretty embarrassing if it showed up on CNN. But 20 bucks is 20 bucks, am I right? Am I right? Anyways, nobody's perfect. That's why they put erasers on pencils, okay? We all make mistakes. Hopefully we learn from those mistakes and become better people in the process. Watching Oxhorn's response on this very video was a big reason why I came to his defense. He owned up to this video, said he was ashamed of it, didn't attempt to justify it, and said it was wrong and unacceptable, and is no way a reflection of who he is now. He also stated he immediately deleted it off his Facebook, rather quickly after he uploaded, realizing that he made a mistake. Again, not saying it's right, but a severe lapse of judgment that he rectified rather quickly. And it's not something he's hiding from either, or trying to pretend didn't happen. He stepped up, owned it, and apologized for its appalling existence. Furthermore, he's uploaded thousands of videos on his YouTube channel, consisting of thousands and thousands of hours. Now, I haven't seen all of his videos by any means, but I have seen some of the ones he put up since 2015, and a few of them throughout the years. And every video is done with an unbiased, unprejudiced perspective, which I think says a lot about him as a person. You would think that if he had such prejudice, it would show up in his videos. In his videos, he doesn't come across as vindictive, demeaning, or otherwise petty. It only serves as an inlet of information for hungry viewers who wish to learn more about the Fallout universe. But let's forget about all he's done and focus on a 3-minute lack of judgment he had 7 years ago. Makes sense, right? That matter of minutes should be a better indication of his character than the countless hours he's uploaded over the past 5 to 6 years. If you ask me, that seems like an awful way to judge a person, but that's just my opinion. The next big one they used was his views of the classy man, where Oxhorn goes on a rant about what he thinks are the prerequisites to make up a good man, or as he describes it, a classy man. Let's preface this one by putting it into perspective that Oxhorn is trying to make a family-friendly, unbiased gaming channel. If Oxhorn does think there are prerequisites that go into being a good person, and those aren't the same as your perspective, that doesn't necessarily make him a piece of shit, right? The big thing these critics focused on when they were talking about Oxhorn's view of the classy man is that he thinks porn is bad, that people shouldn't do drugs, and that he idolizes heterosexuality. And their gripes with these things were that he was a hypocrite with the porn thing, he was a hypocrite with the drug thing, and he was a bigot with the sexuality thing. So, let's look at them one at a time. Let's just for a second fall into the notion that I actually believe Oxhorn thinks porn is bad. I honestly couldn't care less. That's his perspective and has nothing to do with his ability to make content. Whether he believes smashing his dick and balls to hentai is a meaningful pastime or not isn't relevant in the least. He's allowed to think what he wants, and if he thinks guys shouldn't beat their salamis, then so be it. That just leaves more porn for me. I love porn. It's amazing. I'd sprinkle it on my breakfast cereal if I could, because it's just that goddamn delicious. I can't go more than 2 hours without molesting myself, but does that mean I hate Oxhorn because he doesn't share my perspective? Fuck no. As long as he doesn't come in my room and slap my dick out of my hands, I can care less what he believes. However, this wasn't the argument. The argument against Oxhorn and the porn thing was that Oxhorn said that porn was wrong, but that he had porn mods in his Fallout game. These thirsty channels claim there's no way that he would need these mods and that he must be smashing his genitals to these porn mods on the regular, which is a straw man argument at best. Firstly, CBBE is the mod that he's using in this video, which happens to be one of the most popular mods in the Nexus. Almost everyone who plays this game on PC uses CBBE, and not all of them are perverts. In fact, I don't use CBBE, but I am a huge pervert, okay? I don't play as a female character, and I don't review slutty mods, so honestly, I don't feel any need to have CBBE in my playthroughs. However, with that said, I have had this mod in my game before, because CBBE is a prerequisite for many other mods on the Nexus, meaning certain mods won't work without it. And guess what? When you install CBBE, you have to go through an extra step to make sure that the women are wearing underwear. Now, this extra step isn't something you'd be concerned about if you were, for instance, wanting to jack your dick to it, or if you were using this mod as a prerequisite to another mod. Furthermore, when CBBE is installed, NPCs will just randomly walk around naked or half naked. This isn't a setting, this isn't something you go out of your way to make happen, it's just a byproduct of the mod. I know this because it's half the reason I don't use it. It really takes me out of the immersion seeing a raider with double D perky porn star titties in the post-apocalypse. Plus, I don't like playing the game with a boner. Needless to say, there's more than one reason to download CBBE without wanting it to be a creepy pervert. And the one raider that he had in his video that had her tit out wasn't something he set up. That was just a byproduct of the raider's attire with CBBE installed. So maybe he likes nude mods to look at big old titties, or maybe he actually needed CBBE for another mod to work. It really doesn't matter, but in terms of proving he's a pervert, the so-called porn mod he has in his game doesn't prove fuck all, okay? The second thing they chirped him on was that he was telling kids not to do drugs, but at the same time he was smoking and drinking. The one critic that I watched kept trying to trip up Oxhorn with hypocrisy, which hypocrisy to me is the absolute worst argument you can use ever. But what was really funny about this person trying to trip up Oxhorn on hypocrisy was that he even chirps Oxhorn on his appearance because Oxhorn was chirping that lady's appearance in that video that I talked about earlier. And then he calls him a hypocrite, which is hypocrisy on a meta-fucking level. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even fathom the level of hypocrisy that is. Anyways, what I'm trying to say is everyone's a hypocrite. It happens. We literally, like, this guy was a hypocrite literally within the sentence of calling Oxhorn a hypocrite, which is crazy. Calling someone a hypocrite is not a good argument to try to defame them. That's crazy. Anyways, the logic here is that someone telling someone not to smoke is clearly hypocrisy. Because how can you do drugs and tell others not to, right? Because we all know heroin is the same as smoking a cigar, right? Now, if Oxhorn was injecting heroin into his eyeballs and snorting booger sugar between each statement, then maybe we could call him a hypocrite because he was promoting a clean lifestyle. Which, yeah, smoking cigars and drinking alcohol isn't the healthiest way to live. However, even an ex-heroin addict can tell someone not to do heroin. Just because they've done it themselves doesn't mean they don't know it's bad for you. I smoke cigars, but I'm not going to go promoting cigars to my 9-year-old nephew or light a bong for my 5-year-old niece because I'm not a fucking lunatic. Does that mean I don't drink or smoke cigars? No, it doesn't. But wanting people not to follow in my vices doesn't make me a hypocrite, it makes me considerate. Oxhorn promoting a healthy lifestyle isn't hypocrisy, it's him trying to do right by impressionable minds. Sure, smoking and drinking shouldn't be at the forefront of that conversation, but it doesn't make him any less sincere. The last part and the major part of the Classy Man rant was how he dealt with sexuality, which again, isn't something I'm gonna defend. His perspectives for me were extreme. But this rant was years and years ago, when he apparently had very different views. He stated in his response video that isn't his perspective anymore, and he looks at it as being asinine and a backwards way of thinking, which I would have to agree. Nobody's perfect, guys, but accepting that you've made a mistake and changing your perspective is a huge step in the right direction, one that a lot of people can't make. And again, nothing I've ever seen on Oxhorn's channel would ever lead me to believe that he's homophobic or bigoted in any way, as he has dealt with homosexuality in his videos in a very unbiased perspective. So I would have to conclude that when he said he changed his perspective years ago, he meant it. He had an ass-backwards way of thinking, he realized it was wrong, and changed it. I think that says a lot about who he is, and not about who he was. Another thing that was focused on was that Oxhorn had a dungeon filled with women when he was reviewing one of his mods. The critic then went on to say that Oxhorn was a creepy fuck because he wanted to tie up women in his game, right? And that he was somehow living vicariously through the game and that he was obviously a creepy fucking person too, right? Well, I had a lot of issues with this logic for a number of reasons. Firstly, is what we do in video games depictive of who we are in the real world? When I play Mortal Kombat and I rip Sonya Blade in half with Baraka, does that mean that I want to rip women in half in real life? Or when I play a first-person shooter and I shoot someone, does that mean that I want to shoot people in real life? Fuck no, it doesn't. Why? Because video games are in no way an expression of our perspectives in reality. They are a form of escapism and entertainment. Only a fucking idiot would think otherwise. Furthermore, his big argument was that Oxhorn would have to go out of his way to have all females in his dungeon, right? Wrong. It's actually the other way around. Anyone who has reviewed mods or who has used the console commands in Fallout 4 or Skyrim knows that when you want a particular group of people, like let's say settlers, you type in the console command settler4, which will bring up a shit ton of console commands that are all related to settlers. However, a fair number of these codes are gender specific, meaning if I do player.placeAtMe with them, I will only get one gender. So in fact, it takes more work to find codes that aren't gender specific, as this was something that would happen to me a lot when I would spawn in raiders to fight. They would all be male or they would all be female, and it was weird. So I had to go through a number of different codes to find one that had both genders. So just having a bunch of women in a dungeon in Fallout 4 that he spawned in to show off a mod literally proves nothing about his personality, other than he didn't care to look for multiple gender codes. Which, why the fuck would he? Now, if Oxhorn did a vlog where he was given a house tour and he got to his basement and there was a bunch of women in chains, then yeah, you could freak out, man, and call him a creepy psycho. But showing off a mod in a video game with all female settlers is such a reach. It's such a reach. It's such a desperate reach. Now, the last big one is that Oxhorn doesn't allow criticism on him or his channel, and that he will abuse channel strikes to silence anyone that speaks up against him, like some sort of fucking tyrant or some shit. I'll be honest here, guys and girls, I'm not the most internet savvy fucker on the planet, so I don't have the means to check whether or not Oxhorn did or didn't strike down a channel that was criticizing him. However, I can speak from a YouTuber's perspective and give you what I know about striking channels, and what I know about fair use. If, for instance, someone steals my content and tries to pass it off as their own, then I can strike their channel. If someone takes some of my paid content, like for instance something I put on Patreon, and they show it on their channel for free, I can strike their channel. If a person takes private content of mine and shows it on their channel, I can strike their channel. All of these things, as far as I'm aware, are against YouTube's terms of services. Not necessarily against fair use, but against YouTube's terms of services. This means that if someone went back and got Oxhorn's private video from years ago from his Facebook and put it on their channel to shit on him, Oxhorn would be in the right to strike the channel, as they are using content that isn't theirs to use and isn't protected under fair use, as it's not publicly shared anywhere, meaning it's private property. Okay? But hey, I don't know everything about fair use, but people on the internet who seem to center their life around defaming others seem to want to hide behind the false flag of fair use. Makes sense. They're not making original content. Instead, they're criticizing other people for fun and protecting themselves with fair use because they're using their content, right? Wrong. Most of these critics don't understand what fair use actually means, what it's used for, or how striking actually works on YouTube. Firstly, in the most general sense, fair use is any copying or copyrighted material done for a limited or transformative purpose, such as commenting upon, criticizing, or parody of a copyrighted work. They focus on the word criticize and think, oh, I'm criticizing it, so it must be under fair use. No. Such uses can be done without permission from the copyright owner. In other words, fair use is a defense against a claim of copyright infringement, meaning the work has to be copyright. If your use qualifies as fair use, then it's not considered infringement. However, a channel can be striked on YouTube because it doesn't follow their community guidelines. YouTube is a corporation and reserves the right to choose what content is made on their platform. Therefore, only public works that receive monetary remuneration would be considered under copyright law and are protected under fair use. This means a private video of me at the beach with my family is not fair use, nor is any other private footage I don't make publicly available for entertainment consumption and copyright the works. Fair use only applies to copyrights. It has nothing to do with harassment and defamation on YouTube. Those things fall under YouTube's terms of services and YouTube's guidelines and are protected by nothing. If you want to make up lies about someone, steal their private footage, or otherwise create fake news around a specific person on YouTube, your channel isn't protected by anything and you could lose it. Not because your works weren't fair use and that someone was abusing the DCMA. No, because printing lies about someone is the Pokemon evolution of slander. It's called defamation. And guess what? It's illegal and frowned upon on YouTube. Who'd have thunk it? Okay, so you guys need an example. So let's say I was a porn star in my early life, okay? And things got a little sketchy, and one day they came in with a donkey named Gunther, and they said they wanted the donkey to fuck me. Now, this is all hypothetical, by the way, but let's say I owed some money to some really sketchy people, and I really needed that $17, so I let the donkey fuck me. But I was embarrassed of that footage, okay? Years later, I got my shit together. And I bought that donkey fucking footage, okay? I own the rights to that footage. Now imagine someone stole that footage and put it on the internet without my permission in order to embarrass me or hurt me. Would that be okay? No, it wouldn't, because they didn't have any right to my private property. Just like how a deleted video on Facebook isn't under fair use. As far as I'm aware, I'm not a lawyer, okay? Now, if someone's gonna steal footage that isn't theirs to use and try to defame a person with their own private property, then I don't think it's impossible to believe they may get in shit for it, you know? Furthermore, and this is the big one, guys, if I were to try to strike a channel that was using my content under fair use or wasn't doing anything wrong, and YouTube reviewed the strike and saw I was in the wrong, that I was falsely claiming something against that channel, I would risk losing my channel. Do you really think Oxhorn would risk losing his entire channel that he worked so hard to get over some criticisms against him? Or do you think maybe, just maybe, what the channel was doing that Oxhorn striked, if he did strike a channel, was doing something wrong? Something they weren't supposed to, and maybe YouTube agreed with him? Just a thought, you know? Just a thought. Again, I don't know the full story on this one. It's just one person's word against another for me. But I do know what it's like for people to make up lies about you because they think it's going to make them popular. So to me, defamation and criticism isn't the same thing because they're not. They're defined as two entirely different things. Now, if someone posted a video about me and how they don't like my videos, then who cares? Have at it. Go nuts. However, if someone posts a video of me with clips edited out of context and tries to make me out to be something I'm clearly not or tries to defame me using lies, I, like most of you, would do everything I could to silence those lies. Who wants to be depicted as something they're not or to be lied about? I honestly don't think Oxhorn hates criticism. I've seen his live streams, I've seen his comment section. People disagree with him. It happens. He doesn't freak out and start throwing shit across the room. However, with that said, I know what it's like to get tons of comments, good, bad, and everything in between. And I can honestly say listening to someone tell me what a piece of shit I am for making a video designed to entertain them for free is just about the most annoying thing on planet Earth. So in conclusion, Oxhorn isn't perfect. None of us are. We all make mistakes. Some of us for as little as $20 in a Klondike bar, but that's besides the point. Fact of the matter is, Oxhorn has worked his ass off to create a family-friendly experience on YouTube, and I have nothing but respect for him in that regard. Yes, he did and said some thoughtless things in his past. However, I don't see any of those things as being a depiction of his current character or content in any way, shape, or form. I think Alexander Pope said to err is human, but to forgive is divine. He's learning from his mistakes, and he has learned from his mistakes and hopefully become a better person in the process. He's a family man trying to make a living at a job where a needy little bitch with a keyboard can ruin your career overnight because they don't have the work ethic to make quality content. Instead, they'd rather attack bigger YouTubers and piggyback off their success to even see a second of that spotlight. These leafy as here bully wannabe fucks have no place in the gaming community. Save that shit for Logan Paul or KSI or whatever the fuck. Because I think I speak for most of us when I say nobody fucking cares about this asinine drama bullshit. You're not investigative journalists, okay? If Oxhorn was a serial killer or actively beating children or some crazy shit like that, I wouldn't be in his corner, and I would agree 100%. That's an exposure piece, okay? But these guys think they're working for fucking Spotlight, exposing Oxhorn for a shitty joke, a 12-year-old blog with dated ideas, and the most downloaded female mod on the Nexus. It doesn't come across as clever, fellas. It comes across as a desperate ploy for attention. Oxhorn has made a great channel that promotes positivity and equality. He is just a human being trying to make a living, entertaining people on the internet, and he's doing it without insulting others, which is definitely something to be proud of. I believe in fighting for what's right, and I don't believe I should sit by and let people bully and defame someone because they think it's their ticket to YouTube fame. We are all fallible, but it's not our mistakes that define us, but what we do when we find out we're wrong that makes us moral. I may not agree with everything Oxhorn has done or some of his perspectives, but I believe he's trying to promote positivity on YouTube and that he's worked really hard to be here, and that's worth defending.